Where are the adults? Are these orphans on the streets? No, in these videos where British mega influencer Hussein Asif is harassing small children on the street, scaring the crap out of small children on the street, and filming it for content, laughing about what he's doing, while these kids are clearly terrified, clearly distressed. I got lots of people being like, where's their parents? You can actually see the moms in both of the videos. And I think there's one of two things going on here. One, a giant well-known influencer randomly approaches and is filming. He's screaming in the face of these kids. He's scaring them. He's chasing them to get them to go with their moms, right? These are small children who are distressed in public and their mom is clearly struggling to deal with the situation. I think one of two things happened in these videos. Number one, there's an awful lot of bad parenting out there. There's an awful lot of us who think it's okay to treat kids like this. After all, in both his videos, he's like, I'm going to super nanny this, right? There's a whole TV show for years and years and years that ran on the most awful, coercive, disrespectful parenting. It was like a TV show entirely about traumatizing kids, all about coercive control and manipulation. And it was like a top-rated TV show for many years in the UK and the US. But what I really think is going on here is that women, especially young mothers of young children, are just judged everywhere we go. We are shamed. We are belittled. We are judged because our children are distressed, right? Other people see a child in distress and they turn to the mom and say, this is your fault. This is bad parenting. Instead of seeing children as separate human beings who are going through very rapid social, emotional development, physical development, rather than seeing those children as human beings learning how to interface with society for the first time, learning to understand and regulate their emotions for the first time. Instead, what they see is some disobedient, snot-nosed brat, and they blame the mom. They don't see that child as a unique whole human being with unique challenges. Instead, they see the mother as being to blame because they can't keep their kid in line, right? So much childism. Childism is a unique form of discrimination against children based on their age and their developmental status and their cognitive and physical limitations. Childism absolutely always ties into misogyny because mothers are the primary caretakers of children. And when children are judged and discriminated against, it always, always, always connects to their caretaker. It always connects to the mother. When children are denied access to places, their caretakers are denied access to places. When children are judged and belittled and dehumanized, their caretakers are blamed. You cannot talk about childism in American culture or in British culture or wherever without understanding the ways that it is tied to misogyny. When you discriminate against children, you discriminate against women. When you dehumanize children, it has negative consequences for their caregivers. It harms their caregivers. And so often, right, I have 4 kids. I remember being a young mom in public, especially my eldest who's autistic would really, really have a hard time when she was very young. And I had a baby and a toddler melting down. And I would get so much shame and judgment. I would get so much derision from complete strangers. They would have zero empathy for my small child who was struggling and zero empathy for me as the caregiver who was trying to help my kid navigate that situation, who was trying to respect my child and also help them figure out how to regulate in public. Instead, it was just like judgment, shame for my child, derision and shame and judgment for me as the parent over and over. It is excruciating to be a young mom in public, especially when you have a child with special needs, especially when you have a child who is really spirited and or exhausted, hungry, going through a stage of rapid development. All of those make it difficult for children to perform the way that adults want them to, right? Children are trying to live their lives and adults expect kids to be putting on a performance that is socially acceptable to adults. Yet another way we dehumanize children. But anyway, that always ends up being judgment put on the mom. So it's very hard for a lot of mothers. Women are enculturated to go along, especially to go along with what aggressive men want. We are told not to put up a fight. We are told to just go along, to get along and get out of the situation. We are told not to ruffle feathers, not to stand up for ourselves. And that dynamic is amplified significantly when you are caring for young children. You are made to feel small and embarrassed. It's very hard for a lot of young mothers to find the courage to advocate for them and their children. And so you end up in situations where children are dehumanized and treated poorly by strangers, and their mothers are struggling to be good advocates for them because their mothers are also subjected to this awful dynamic that exists everywhere in society. So I think in these situations, when I watched those videos, what I saw was two young moms who are having a hard time. It's already embarrassing. It's already difficult. You're already like, oh God, this is so stressful. I don't know how to help my kid. I'm trying to figure out how to parent in this situation. And random strangers with 1.6 million followers are filming it and coming up and screaming at my kids in that moment. How many of us, when we were young and already in a position where we're just feeling embarrassed and small and unsuccessful and judged by the entire culture, how many of us would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop filming my kid. Don't talk to my kid that way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call the police. This is harassment. If you did this to an adult woman, it would be a crime. Stop treating my child this way. How many of us realistically, right? Like in our own fantasy lives, we could say, oh, I would definitely step up and be the hero for my kid. I actually don't judge moms who in the moment, they can't summon that up for themselves, because we have been enculturated our entire lives as women to be quiet and get along and just get through the scenario and go on about our lives. We've been taught not to stand up for ourselves. We've been taught not to stand up for our children. We've been taught not to anger aggressive men, but just to like get through this moment and move along. So I think some of that was at play here in these situations. The blame is squarely on the shoulders of the mega influencer who has multiple times now filmed small children in distress, gone up to them, screamed in their faces, chased them down the street, clearly traumatizing them. And then he posted it on the internet for monetized content. And also it's the fault of the 5 million people who liked his video. It's the fault of everybody who thinks that this is acceptable behavior. We should be talking about how this is totally unacceptable. This should not be normalized. This is not humorous. This is not some kind of sketch. This is not funny. It's not helpful. It's traumatic. It's unacceptable. That's why I'm talking about it.